You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
Welcome to Bucks on the Bookshelf with your host, Steve the Bookman Eisenstein. Steve the Bookman Eisenstein has been involved in buying, selling, and appraisals of rare books since 1968, 45 years. This show has been designed with making money for the listeners in mind. More people know the value of coins, stamps, objects of art, and collectibles they do not own than the values of the books in their home library shelves. Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and book lovers of all ages, and welcome to another edition of Bucks on the Bookshelf. I'm your host, Steve the Bookman Eisenstein, and you are listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. 24/7 for your listening pleasure. And if you're tired of your radio station during the week, give us a try. But on this program, we would love to solve any biblio-mysteries in your life. So if you have a question, by all means, give us a call. The telephone number is 1-727-498-0459. That's 1-727-498-0459. And if you are listening to this program on Sunday on replay or on Monday morning from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., time zones included, you can reach me personally at 305-794-0130. That's 305-794-0130 off-air hours. Now, last week, due to installation, just so some of you know, we had some new equipment in the studio, so we did not have last week's program replayed, but you now know the new schedule. I can't thank you all enough for liking our posts on social media, and a very special thanks to Lindsay Thompson of Henry Bemis Books for his help in that area. And another special shout out and thanks today to John Howell. You caught my mistake early, and I thank you for that one. And at the same time, I'd like to give a shout out to anybody and everybody, all 4,222 members in Bookaholic Cafe. Thanks for bringing me into the group. I hope we can do a lot of good things to promote the wonderful world of rare books together. And today, my guest is world-renowned curator, conservationist, and probably the most credentialed person I have or ever will have on this show. And that is Sherif Afifi of the Alexandria Library and Museum in Alexandria, Egypt. If you visit any of the collections on display there, chances are if they needed some type of restoration, Sherif Afifi and his teams were the ones that did it. We'll be going into a lot of depth with that with Sherif later on in the program.
WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
I wonder.
Welcome to Bucks on the Bookshelf with your host, Steve the Bookman Eisenstein. Steve the Bookman Eisenstein has been involved in buying, selling, and appraisals of rare books since 1968, 45 years. This show has been designed with making money for the listeners in mind. More people know the value of coins, stamps, objects of art, and collectibles they do not own than the values of the books in their home library shelves. Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Bucks on the Bookshelf right here on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. We're going to be talking in a little bit, the internet gods willing, and we could use a little prayer here, folks. I am right now, with Sherif Afifi from Alexandria, Egypt, about the fine art and contributions that this man has made to restoration and conservation of ancient documents. I really look forward to the dialogue with him, and I am waiting for an instant message down the road that says he's on. But in the meantime, the prizes of a lifetime. A London bookshop offers free books for the rest of your life. Deborah Levy, Graham McRae Burnett, and Paul Beatty might be competing for the Man Booker Prize and a £50,000 check if they win next month. But readers around the world are being offered the opportunity to vie for their own literary award, where the winner will never have to buy a book again. I launch a caveat in there. Can I pick out any rare book I want? And we're going to talk about something later on and with someone on a future program about something that I paraphrase as the Rare Book of the Month Club. They've got a great thing going on there. Launched on Friday by independent London bookshop Haywood Hill to mark its 80th anniversary, the Library of a Lifetime Award will give its winner one newly published and handpicked hardback book per month for life, delivered anywhere in the world. Well, check them out. Maybe you too can get any new book a month you want. We are now on the phone with Sherif Afifi from Alexandria, Egypt. Sharif, welcome to Bucks on the Bookshelf. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Hello, Stephen. It's a pleasure to me as well.
Thank you. Sharif, the first question that I have to ask you is, what got you started in this fine art and science you're in of conservation and restoration?
Actually, I didn't get you. You mean how I start or that field or?
Yes. How you got started in this business.
Yes, it's it's an amazing story. My life has been changed since 10 years ago. I was working as a computer programmer, but sometimes you're working in a field, but your heart in another field. My heart was already attached to saving heritage and manuscripts and rare books as well. And I heard that the Biblioteca Alexandria have a competition. One of my friends already called me and said that, Sharif, I know that you like and you love and you adore the heritage. So we have a competition for the people who like to be conservators. At that time, in Alexandria, there was no any specific, special college for that in Alexandria for conservation science, for conservation and restoration. So I've already entered that competition. We were, many people on that competition, making a lot of exams, and finally they take 6 of us for that position. And since that time, 10 years ago, 2006 till now, my life has completely changed to be one of the conservator in Egypt. They already give us special training for conservation science, and I've already traveled to Italy and the National Archive in Italy to study conservation. And then, it followed by going abroad in several countries and learning whatever they have in the conservation side, the new and conservation side. And now I am a master student in heritage conservation for photo conservation and paper heritage conservation. That what get me into the field.
That's unique. I have read your curriculum vitae. Your credentials are just amazing. You're still studying, and you will study all your life. This is an unmasterable field. So what are some of the things, give us an idea of some of the things that you work on and some of, like, for example, let's say somebody had a problem in their house and their collection was infected with something. What would you recommend for them to do?
Actually, what I'm trying to do lately, that I'm trying to spread the knowledge of conservation and restoration. First of all, let's talk about what is the difference between a conservation and restoration, because there is a very big fight about that two terms. Normally in our field we have many terms. Maybe I can explain that terms later on. But doing a conservation or doing a restoration. Restoration, which is mean that you send the object back to its original state. It means that you will make it new as it was at the first time. That means you've already lost all the historical evidence on your rare book. It means if you have a rare book with a, for example, infected cover, and you've already sent it to a bindery, they've already removed that cover with all the historical evidence, which is carrying all the original techniques, identity, everything, and bound it in a new condition. Please, people, don't do that. Anyway, let's go back to our question. At home, that's what I am trying to do during that last time. So I would like to spread the knowledge of knowing what you do in your collection. So first of all, please, if your collection is near to your kitchen, which is normally we have an open kitchen in our houses, please send it away from your kitchen. If it is near to your window, the sunlight is direct to your collection, please just put a curtain or just change your shelf position. And the temperature and relative humidity. Just be sure that your collection in a stable temperature and a stable relative humidity, which is a temperature, it should be between 18 and 20 or 21. And the relative humidity should be from 40 to 60%. So that is the basic things that you can do on your collection. We can go further in our discussion after that. But that is basically you can do. Don't make a fluctuation for the temperature. Fluctuation for the relative humidity and temperature will completely affect your collection.
That's, I've been doing this for 45 years, Sharif. I know not to have books in the kitchen, but I never really thought about how far away from the kitchen it should be. That's a very interesting thought. I thank you for the knowledge. I never thought of it that way.
First of all, let's say why I'm saying that it should be away from your kitchen, because easily that your kitchen is creating a relative humidity and creating heat. So the more far is your collection away from your kitchen, for sure. I know that nobody is putting a rare box in his kitchen, but sometimes people make a mistake.
But
that sometimes people never aware that normally we have an open kitchen, especially in your area. Normally you have an open kitchen in your, like for example, downstairs you have your kitchen. So just to move your collection upstairs. And you can do one thing, which is that what I am saying. Just to bring a very cheap device from any library or from any shop to just monitor your relative humidity and temperature. So if your temperature is between...
We've got a few more minutes left in this segment. I want you to stay on. But I'd like you to do two things. One, tell us about the app that you created for the iPhone.
Yes. Actually, my apps is for Android. Now I'm trying to do for iPhone. It's a little bit difficult, but I will do later on. For the people who had an Android operating system on their mobiles, as I am believing in sharing experience, and I didn't found any of Android application related to conservation. So that's why I've already developed two main applications for the people who would like to gain more knowledge about conservation. First one is a marble paper guide. That's for creators, conservators, collectors, and researchers, and all the people who are likely like to know more about marble paper, especially marble paper give you a clue about your object and your rare object, and give you a clue from which area and from which period it is, which has more than 29 antique pattern. I'm just focusing on antique pattern. So through that, from 15th century to 19th century, so you can navigate through the pattern if you have a rare book with which has a guard with a marble paper in the paper, which is basically marble paper, or just bound with a marble paper. You can just go to the application, just look at the compatible pattern, and just click on the pattern, and you will have a full information about the pattern name, the pattern period, and how they used to do that pattern. You can search by pattern, you can search by century, and you can search by name. As well, I've already developing now a mobile application. It's for Android as well. It's called the Antique Photographs. It basically based on antique photographs type identification. I think that we can talk about that photographs later on, but if you have a collection of photographs, basically you should know their types. These are the two applications which I'm basically working on. It's very easy. You can just go to the Google Play Store and just write marble paper, and just type marble paper guide or antique photographs. You will find it. It's completely free. You can download it, and I'm just trying to share my experience.
Let me say this, Sharif, if ladies and gentlemen in the audience, if you want to reach Sharif, is it okay if I give out your email address?
Oh, for sure, yes.
Sure. It is SHERIF dot AFIFI at BIBALEX.org. I'm going to say that one more time. Sharif, SHERIF dot AFIFI at BIBALEX.org. Sharif.Afifi at Biblioteca.org. Sharif has once you are able to communicate with him, you'll be able to see some of the other apps and some of the phenomenal work that Sharif does. I have seen a few of his videos on YouTube, and we're going to be talking more about that with Sharif as it goes on. We are about to do a few things called commercial breaks, but before we go there, let me tell you that you are listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM 24/7 for your listening pleasure. This program is repeated tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you in weird time zones, if there is such a thing, they're all weird once you're out of them. It is. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Bucks on the Bookshelf. You are listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. Remember, the show will be rebroadcast tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday morning. We are talking with Sherif Afifi in Alexandria, Egypt. Sharif is a world-renowned conservationist and restorer, and he's been giving us some tips. One that I learned. I never realized, I knew not to keep anything in the kitchen, but I never thought of the proximity. Thank you for that lesson. Teach us more, Sharif. What else is going on?
Welcome back, Stephen. So we have a lot of things that we should talk about the collection. First of all, be sure about, for sure you're making your acquisition. You're buying from either from a known place or a private collection from someone who is selling his collection or selling his collection as well. So for sure, if you are buying it from a known auction, they know what to do. Basically, it's safe and it's rare and real. So if you're buying it from individuals, be sure that you are buying a rare object, not a fake object. And one thing which is very, very important, which I have to mention, be sure that the place which that collection was on it was completely without any asbestos ceiling. Again, you know that the drop ceiling tiles, since 1940 to 1990, it was mostly common in all buildings that they are building all the drop ceiling tiles. They are making it with some chemical materials containing asbestos. So asbestos is completely dangerous. You cannot see it, but once it dries and you're trying to do anything on that ceiling, it breaks and it will just fall on the your box. Once you're trying to read this box, it will give you a very hard diseases which is cancerogenic, like the lung cancer or whatever, all the asbestos diseases. You cannot see it. You cannot check it. So before buying it, please check that place it was completely without any drop ceiling tiles which is containing any asbestos. Basically, yes.
No, let me. You really touched on two very personal points to me. I had a store that did have a drop ceiling in the mid-'80s. I was fascinated when I took the drop ceiling out and found I had more room to put up shelves. But once again, I never thought about the asbestos end of it. And I actually took a course, a lot of weird courses in my life, but one in asbestos abatement. You are 100% correct about how dangerous asbestos is.
Yes.
To anybody, not just in the rare book world. Let me segue. Let me lead us on another path for a moment.
Yeah.
You were mentioning some things about in an auction house and provenance and deal with reputable firms. Beth Kilmarks is the rare book librarian and curator at Binghamton University in New York. She was on the show about 2 months ago. How is rare book theft affected the market for you? Are you encountering a lot of problematic things that you don't accept as a donation because there's questionable provenance in that area?
Yes, exactly. And at Biblioteca Alexandria, even we are not accepting any acquisition from unknown persons. The collection should be known, and for sure we are restricted completely against any theft object. I know nowadays, you know that some libraries all around the world, especially that the Middle East area, that's affected by thieves and that thing, and they are trying to sell it all around the world. There is two kind of thinking. Like if I'm thinking that if I did not take that object from him, he will destroy it. And other people saying that if I will take it from him, I'm encouraging him to take more and selling more. And you know that. For us, we are taking that side. We never accept any rare object which is unknown or the source is unknown source. And if we feel that it's some thieves already take that object, maybe we'll go further to do a court regulation or whatever. We may raise a case or something like that. Especially in Egypt, we have a law against that. It will, especially for manuscripts. Even if you own a manuscript, which is your own manuscript, you have to register it. For sure, it will still your own, but you have to register it. Otherwise, you will fail under the law for sure.
Let me ask you this, and I ask this is a personal anecdote type story. What are some of the things that you personally have restored that would have more than usual significant historical importance?
Yes, actually, 1 year ago, we were working at the Biblioteca Alexandria in one of the biggest conservation projects for the Patriarchate of Alexandria, the Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria. They have, that Roman collection, which is one of the most rare collection in the world, which is a Byzantine manuscripts. One of these Byzantine manuscripts has been delivered to our lab, and I was involved in doing a conservation for that one. And guess what? That the cover, it wasn't belong to that manuscript. It was like the second binding or the third binding. It was a 14th century manuscript, and that cover, it was mentioned on it that it belongs to another manuscript. And that manuscript, it does not exist anymore. So we have the clue that manuscript was exist. Maybe it was in that area, or we never know. But at least we have that cover for that manuscript. For keeping all the historical evidence, that was mentioned on the cover from inside, not from outside. So it was covered by paper, and it was covered by the end paper itself. So we have already put that cover back, because that we believe in keeping all the historical evidence. That one of the historical evidence which is passed through the time to that manuscript, and we've already put like a window on that manuscript to mention that board. It belongs to that manuscript, which is not exist till now. We cannot find it. It was very significant working on such manuscript. We've read a lot about that manuscript, trying to call and ask for many curators all around the world about that manuscript, trying to find it in another library. Till now we didn't find it, but at least we success to keep all that history.
I love that word, hitherto unknown copy. Sharif, on one of the group sites that I belong to called Book Collectors, there was a discussion about things that people found in books. Now, you look at probably thousands of books, thousands and thousands of books during the course of a year and millions in a lifetime. Have you ever found anything in between the pages of a book, from a Euro note to something really important? I asked that question just kind of as a jest, and to get a little amusing anecdote from your side of that question.
Yes, actually, normally we are finding a lot of things which is in between that manuscripts and rare books. Sometimes it's a letter, sometimes it's a love letter, sometimes it's photos, sometimes it's notes, sometimes it's like a business card for some important person which is died from years, hundreds of years or something like that. But one of the objects which I was working on it was something on it which is completely different, which is folded in a very hard way, and it's like folded in not in square, it's folded like in triangles. And I was asking myself, what should it be? And after thinking, I've decided to open it and see what's inside. And it was completely with unknown letters. It's letters I cannot read, and even maybe it's not words, I don't know. And I keep asking about that and searching about that. One of our curators, he's into the things, and he told me that it's a black magic. Take care, it's a black magic. So what we gonna do? I decided to. It's historical evidence. I keep my promise to myself. It's historical evidence. I will conserve it, and I will put it back to the manuscript as one of its historical evidence. For sure, I mentioned that on the report. I'm not believing in black magic, but still, a lot of people around the world still believing on it. Anyway,
well,
it was.
I will tell you, I won't argue with that. There's a group, and I don't mean this with any connotations on a personal level, but there's a group, Rare and Occult Books. I'm fascinated by the study of occultisms and religion and everything else. I've practiced comparative religion studies all my life, but there's 7,080 members in this group, and they have some seriously rare books listed on there. As a matter of fact, down the road, that would be November 12th, William Kissel, who is the current person in charge of that group, will be a guest on our show talking about rare and occult books. We are getting about a minute and a half or so away from a break. Let me give the audience some information about you, and I will take us to break. And when we come back, we'll pick up the conversation on photographs and things and other things that you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. My guest is Sherif Afifi from Alexandria, Egypt. I keep wanting to say Virginia, so let me get it out of my system. He is from Alexandria, Egypt. And if you want to reach Sherif Afifi, you can reach him at this email address, Sherif, SHERIF, .AFIFI at BIBALEX.org. That's Sherif.Afifi at Biblioteca.org. We are talking with Sherif about conservation. I am a little out of sequence here. You are listening to us live on WDBFradio.com. When we come back, we will be talking about photography during the week. No, it's not going to work. I'm still going to have 45 seconds. Sherif, give us some other ways to reach you. You do something on YouTube. Give us the YouTube address to see your videos.
Just go to youtube.com/Sherif3Afifi. SHERIF3AFIFI. It's an educational channel, so you will be able to know more about conservation, learning new conservation techniques. I keep adding more educational videos if I'm free. But still, I have a lot of videos on it. You can just go through it and see how to preserve, how to conserve, how to do such headbands or binding techniques on it.
Okay, and we will give you that address later on when we come back. You're listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM 24/7 for your listening pleasure. We'll be back after these commercial words.
Shelves. Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Books on the Bookshelf on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. I'm sorry, just bear with us. It sounds like somebody's screaming for help in the background. Or their parrot got loose. Edie, would you check that out? That sounded serious. Sorry, folks. We are talking with Sherif Afifi from Biblioteca Alexandria in Alexandria, Egypt. Sherif is a world-known conservationist, restorationist, and has some great things going on online that we urge you to check out. And what I'd like to do is give you that information. His Facebook page is facebook.com/Sherif3 Afifi. That's SHERIF 3, the number, Afifi, AFIFI. If you want to learn some things about book collecting, book selling, but more so about restoration and conservation, you definitely want to check out what Sharif is doing. Welcome back, Sharif. Let's talk about some photography. You mentioned that earlier in the program.
Yes, actually photography is a little bit different than paper. Photography is complex, this is a complex material which contains papers and some chemicals materials and emulsions and so on. So we have to deal with photographs carefully. Now we don't have actual photographs we don't have. We have only the digital photographs. No one now is printing a photograph. So we have 100 years of photographs. We have to keep it for our next generation, which is recording a history of peoples, places, wars, and whatever. Places which is maybe not exist now. Photographs is very important for our heritage and for it's a very important collection. So caring about your photographs, it's very, very, very need a very careful way to care about your photograph collection. You have to learn more about your photographs. That's why I've already developed my antique photographs type identification application on the mobile. It's a free as well. You can download it for free. It's called the Antique Photographs. And through that, you can identify your collection. And if you'd like to keep your collection away of any danger, for sure you have to follow all whatever we said before, from the temperature to the relative humidity, especially the sun. For sure you have to keep it from direct light and direct sun for the collection, your collection. Try to know your collection types. For example, if you have a silver gelatin photographs, you keep it together with each other. If you have an album in photographs, so it will be with each other. Don't mix up all the type with each other. If you have daguerreotype, if you have cyanotype, salt paper, or whatever photo types that you have. How do you know that? You can go through my app. It will help you easily by visual investigation. Visually you can figure out what is your photograph type. Mostly you will be able to know it. And please don't stack over your photos against each other, and don't put photos over each other. Just put a photo-friendly paper or an acid-free paper between all the photos. But be careful about the alkaline buffered paper, which is normally you can find it on the market. You will find that it mentions it's alkaline buffered photo. They are adding alkaline for that alkaline buffered papers, I mean. So they are adding alkaline for the paper to avoid any further acidity to the paper. If you have a cyanotype, don't just use that alkaline buffer.
You want to use archivally correct materials based on the chemical composition of your photo. Each photo. Alex Novak
Yeah.
from Vintage Photography was on the show a few months ago and explained some of that to the audience. You don't want to start off an accidental chemical reaction improperly storing your photos. Is somewhat of the message. And let me take a second here to throw a tip out to beginners, okay? This is a very target market tip. During the course of your travels and book hunting, and I'm sure you know this, what I am going to mention here, you're going to see large photographic albums that were done in the 1880s and 1890s. They kind of look like the outside is usually some kind of woven material, for lack of a better word, but to bring it into the novice world, kind of looks like a potato sack material on the outside. Many times these photographs are going to be from whatever region your family or however you acquired this album was visiting. The scenes in the photos that are the most desirable ones are the ones that Sharif was just describing. Places that no longer exist. They're not, the collector is not interested in the photo that was taken inside a museum, but he would love to have the photo of the museum or the building next to it if it's not there. That's just a tip. When you find some of these albums, you're going to think you found buried treasure, but it's not going to be as kind as you thought it was. Go from there, Sharif.
Always we are saying that one photo will give you a full story. You can make a full book because of one photo. You have persons on it, you have places on it, you have a history in it, you have buildings or you have streets, you have models of cars or whatever, horses, and you have everything, which is you can build a story in one single photo. As I've already mentioned before, we don't have now a digital world. We can talk about the digital world later on, but now we have digital photographs. We don't have exactly a photographs in our hands. Please, people, try to print your photographs, but in a nice way. Keep your photographs in albums, because it will be for our next generation. People, if you have a photograph albums for your father, for your grandfather, or whatever families photographs you have, keep it. Try to preserve it in a good way, as we've already said before. If you are not into that, just ask a conservator or just ask expert about your collection, how to preserve it or to keep it. If you have a negatives, like for sure, if you have rolled negatives, try to just separate it and store it in flat position. You will find a lot of resources all around the internet. You can search and you can read more and you can know how to preserve it and you keep it in a better condition for your next generation. How you will tell your son or your grandson that place it was exist. For example, I have me and my friend Wael, we were working on Biblioteca Alexandria now, and we have a photograph on the Biblioteca Alexandria land before building that building.
Oh, wow.
So guess what? I can say now that is the place. It was like that, and now that is the place which I'm working on it. It's a history. You can tell a lot of things on the photographs, as you've already mentioned before.
Tell us about Biblioteca Alexandria. If anybody is ever planning a trip, to see this library, and I got to ask you a crazy question. All right, this is the weird side of me, Sharif. You do on the course of a day, people bring you things from digs that need to be researched, that need to be exposed to conservation techniques and things. Do you have a mental picture, if we dug down deep enough under the pyramids, what we would see? I mean, you just handle things that are amazing. I've often wondered what it would look like, in that area if they dug down deep enough. Do you think there is a lost library somewhere out in the desert, as history alludes to?
You know something, that in Alexandria Whatever you are trying to just go deeper, we will find a city which is under a city, and city which is under a city. You can't find it. We have, that especially in Cairo and in Giza place. I'm not sure if we going digging under the pyramids, we will find what. But it's okay. For sure, you will find. And if you keep digging and digging, you will find. You will keep find. But in which direction? So you have to figure out, and you have to study it. Now we have a modern technology. We have a satellites. We have, picturing through wavelengths and all that kind of new technology. So we can just see under the layer of the ground layer. What I've expected, that what happened on the location of Biblioteca Alexandria when they started to build the Biblioteca Alexandria. At the first digging, they found some Roman statues, which belong to a very long age. So that's why we decided to have a museum for that discovery inside the library. If I'm going to talk about the Biblioteca Alexandria or the new library of Alexandria, it's not only a library. You can just Google it and see what is the Biblioteca Alexandria, which is a combination of it is a complete knowledge center, which has a library, museums, conferences, educational methods, planetariums, and everything that on it. It's international knowing, as it has one of, not only, that is the biggest reading area in the world, which we already have. And we have the second internet archive in the world, the first in the Library of Congress, for sure. Our collection is growing and growing. It's a 15 years old library. We're still growing our collection. It grows and grows. Our restoration lab, which is affiliated to the Manuscript Museum in the Biblioteca Alexandria, we are recognized as one of the best conservation lab in the Middle East, and we've already awarded from International Council of Museum, ICOM, as one of the best conservation lab in Egypt. We're trying to be one of the best in the world, and I think that we are only. I'm talking about our lab and the development, the development process, which is 10 years only. Maybe one day we will be one of the worldwide recognized second or the first conservation lab in the world. We are dreaming, and maybe we'll catch that dream. We have the largest French collection in our area for the people who are talking speaking French.
You have 500,000 French, the largest collection. Sharif, we've got to go to a break in a few seconds. Can you stay with us for one more segment?
Okay, for sure, yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM 24/7 for your listening pleasure. We'll be back after these commercial words. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Books on the Bookshelf. My guest is Sherif Afifi from Biblioteca Alexandria in Alexandria, Egypt. If you are interested in seeing some of the things that Sharif is working on, does, and get some good tips and information, let me give you a couple of different places that you can reach Sharif at. His email address is Sherif, S-H-E-R-I-F, Afifi, A-F-I-F-I, at BIBALEX.org. If you want to check it out on Facebook, his videos are there on Facebook.com/Sharif3Afifi. That's Facebook.com /Sharif, the number 3, Afifi. Welcome back, Sharif. And I got to ask you a personal question.
Okay.
And that is, what do you personally collect?
Actually, I am the one on the family who collect every single document which is related to my family. Photos,
wow.
documents,
Uh-huh.
letters. I have a letters between my grandfather and my grandmother, which is a love letters. I have, that photos from all my grandfather and the earlier grandfather. I have all the documents, even if one of my family appear in a magazine or for some reason a magazine or a newspaper. I have a copy of these things. Now I have a very big collection, which is I'm dreaming on my retired time. I will do a conservation for that. That I'm doing a conservation for our collection on the library. Maybe I don't have time to do a conservation, but I'm doing a very good preservation for this collection. So if anyone of my family want to know anything about anybody, he can come and ask me, and I will give him a document that he was like that, his name was like that, and so on and so on. That's
a comment and a question. I've seen your
Okay.
picture. You're too young to even think about retiring right now.
I'm 40 years old now, but I think I looks younger. It's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's okay. I'm 66, and they told me I looked 40 when I was 12, but that's another story.
But it's still young.
How far back have you been able to go in finding material related to your family?
I keep asking my families, not all the people like to keep old books, old papers, old, in anything. Not everyone is interested in that in the world. So mostly the people who are interested in heritage who are keeping that. And when anybody of my family asking about that, I have a plan, the people like that. Where should I do? What should I do? Where should I? Shall I throw it? And they advise him, no, just give it to Sharif. He will keep it. And if you need anything from that collection, later on he will help you to take it back or whatever, because that's their own collection after all. But in that way, I'm just trying to keep my family heritage or whatever.
Well, I will promise you this, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to deliver on the promise. If I ever see anything with the name Afifi on it, it will find its way to you. That
yes,
you
please.
have my word
yes,
on.
Please.
You never know. My life is very strange, so you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But
Yeah,
I'll tell
exactly.
you something interesting, and this is just a little joke and segue here. We used to do what they call estate sales, garage sales, things like that. And you were talking about how sincerely you want your family's history preserved. One of the things that we noticed when we go into somebody's home is that if the family photos are still in the boxes, the jewelry boxes are empty, this family is going to be hard to deal with and doesn't give a damn about their history.
Yes.
It's just an observation.
Yeah. Yes, I understand.
What else? It's a nice thing. I kind of wonder where our family stuff is going to go. We don't have any. Do you have kids? I ask just as a friend.
Yes, for sure. I have two kids. Yusuf, he is 3 years old, and Jumana, she is 5 years old.
Well, I hope they follow in their father's footsteps. You are doing tremendous things, and your reputation and the amount of time that you've built up putting together your curriculum vitae is very, very impressive. And in earlier programs, I used to confess that, yes, I have credential envy, and you have some very envious credentials, and what you do is phenomenal. Let me ask
Thanks.
you this: what other food for thought or pearls of wisdom would you like to share with the audience? Because you've got many of them.
Uh, Actually, I would like to speak with the people who are fond of the modern technology and digitization's project, and all over the libraries and institutions. Yes, guys, you're doing a fantastic, great work. Like now, I can have like full shelf on my mobile, hundreds and millions of pages on my mobile, but if I don't have a power in my mobile, if I don't have electricity in my mobile, I have nothing. So please, people, you are interested in converting all our heritage in a digital format, but please concern our rare books and manuscript. Don't destroy it because you are digitizing them. Please, people, just conserve it. Keep our heritage, because at the future, you never know the future is what. But if you don't have electricity, if you don't have a power supply, you don't have a knowledge. So please keep our heritage. We need more printed books. We never know. For example, if you are in like a city or a small town or a village which has some like no electricity for some reason, for weather reason or whatever, for any reason, so that means they cannot access to the internet. They don't have electricity. After a while, they will have nothing to learn. So still, papers and books and manuscripts, still written heritage is very important, even if we are trying to convert it to a digital format.
Very, very well said, Sharif. I had this vision of everybody losing their heritage and things like that. It's almost science fiction like. Captain Kirk had the only book in the galaxy of galaxies somewhere.
Yes.
And I would
Yes.
hope
And who
that
knows?
that is
Yes.
not our future.
Yes. Maybe in the next generation, who knows? Anyway, but still, you need a power supply. Even if you are at home and your mobile is out of electricity, you cannot read anything. You cannot go through the internet. You cannot do anything. If you cannot go outside, or if you cannot do anything, though you have your book, you can open it and read it. But if you don't have your book, what you will do?
Amen to that. What you do is wonderful. I wish I could spend a day following you around your lab and looking at all that equipment that I would probably know very little about, because I have to say I am probably the last guy to get into the modern age of technology and things like that. If we are ever on the road somewhere across the other side of the pond, I am going to drop in on you unexpectedly one day.
Okay,
it would be an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Okay, me too. Anyway, if you are planning to come to Alexandria one day, it will be our pleasure to show you our work and visiting Biblioteca Alexandria. At least you can see it and see how great it is.
I would look forward to that. May something in my life happen to make that physically possible. That's the way I can say that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Sherif Afifi from Biblioteca Alexandria. If you want to see some of what Sherif is doing, will be doing, and keep up with him, if by some chance you're an angel out there and want to make a large donation to a museum, in a library, I'm sure that they will happily accept donations, books, documents, or whatever. You can reach Sherif at facebook.com/Sherif3 Afifi. His email address is Sherif, SHERIF, .Afifi, AFIFI, at BIBALEX.org. They do tremendous work there. Check out some of what he has put online. His Android app for the telephone will give you some interesting things to look at and do. And Sharif, I can't thank you enough for being on the program. I will send you an email after the show just to say thank you, and, you know, may we keep staying in touch. I definitely would like to have you back on the show down the road.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk on your very valuable program. I will be happy to talk with you again, and thank you for that chance. My regards to everybody. Thank you. Thanks for all the people who are listening today to our show, your show, I mean. So you have my contact email. You can, for all the people, you can just, if you have any question about anything which is regarding the conservation field or preventive conservation or whatever, just email me. I will reply you as soon as I can.
Sharif.Afifi@biblilex.org. Sharif, thank you for being with us. And a special shout out to our sister radio station in Italy, Bibliophilia Radio. I can't say it in Italian. I'm not going to try. Francesco, hope you're having a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to us live on WDBFradio.com and on WDBF.FM. 24/7 for your listening pleasure. If you are tired of your radio station during the week,
You're listening to WD.